Welcome to the fourth part of the 13th episode of the India Shining series. We covered a lot of ground on international, national, and the macros. We are continuing with the national news, and then the first item on today's part is that the National Judicial Service. So a lot of active talks are going on between the government and the judiciary to basically look at having a national judicial service. We already have the Indian Administrative Service, the civil services have Indian Administrative Service, Police Service, Postal Service, and a whole lot of Indian engineering service, railway engineering service, and there's so many things. But this is something that can bring a standardization and qualitative approach to our entire judiciary, because that's one of the key, apart from legislature, executive, judiciary plays a major part in keeping our democracy together. So the good point about this whole approach is they're basically trying to split it into two areas. So there's going to be a lower judiciary, a subordinate judiciary, and the higher judiciary. So the center seems to be open to allowing the state governments to recruit for subordinate judiciary, and the higher judiciary seems to be in agreement with the government's push for a major reform in recruitment of judges at the level of additional district judges and higher. So with that will come a national service, and then there can be some standardization and a constant training possibility, and also where sometimes when you are able to move people away from their area of comfort, the possibility of a corruption or anything happening therefore can substantially come down. So this is one interesting move that's happening. Then the other interesting thing that has also happened is the government has it's actively considering removing restrictions on commercial use of land of Airport Authority of India. So Airport Authority India was the custodian of all the airports in India. So we have started seeing there has been a lot of privatization. The Delhi airport got privatized, the Mumbai airport has got privatized, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, a whole lot of airports have started getting privatized. And whenever there was a privatization, we've seen the quality of service has improved, the quality of infrastructure, the scale of infrastructure, everything has improved. But Airport Authority of India continues to operate in small airports, and they have a lot of surplus land available. So putting that to commercial use, if the government is going to remove the restrictions of putting that to commercial use, it can substantially act as an integrated operator of providing not only passenger movement but also logistic movement. So the hinterlands of India, sometimes there could be companies which are into pharmaceuticals or into agriculture, key agricultural products, and there could also be something with respect to emergency evacuation of some of the goods. So this will definitely have a logistics uptick, and then putting this surplus land to good use around an airport infrastructure could mean that a lot more businesses can move to hinterland. So this is a very positive consideration that is going to be taken by the government. The next interesting point is ISRO has started providing solutions for solar park locations. Now ISRO is in a position to suggest the ideal locations for setting up solar power projects based on the data gathered from its geostationary Earth orbit observation satellites. So we know that India has built up a good amount of capability in being able to launch satellites both using the GSLV rockets and pre-SLV rockets, and we have also started marketing our ability to launch satellites for other countries, other institutions. So ISRO is planning to provide these services using an Android application, and using this Android application you will be able to compute the solar energy potential in a particular place, and this is a proprietary software that has been developed by ISRO along with the space application centers, ISRO's own space application center in Ahmedabad. So there will be a solar calculator that can be used across the world, and the solar calculator will be able to provide you the solar power potential in a particular place being measured based on the satellite data available. So you have the GSLV, you have the geostationary satellites all around the world, and then you use those data, and using your Android application, you will be able to see what could be the quantum of power that could be generated if you're going to put the solar panels. So this opens up a lot of opportunity for companies which are into solar installation and maintenance, because you'll be able to now put up your plants in those locations where the yield could be much higher. So it's a very interesting development of how your space technology can be used to put to better commercial use, and also increase the output of power from non-fossil fuel sources. Then next, just like the government is considering allowing Airport Authority of India to sell its surplus land, the government has gone ahead and put totally 6 assets on auction block for bidding of both BSNL and MTNL properties. Now we know that both BSNL and MTNL were government run institutions which are catering to, BSNL was catering to pan-India rural side, and MTNL was catering to be predominantly Delhi and Mumbai. So and of course both these companies have almost run aground. They are not commercially viable, and telecom is an industry where you need there is a constant technology upgradation, and therefore a constant deployment of capital. It is also very highly technical field, and therefore in my opinion, I think the private sector can play a significant role, because this industry is very dynamic, and that is one of the reasons why BSNL and MTNL ran aground. Though they were able to undertake a lot of socially impacting initiative, but commercially I don't think they were. So putting these 6 assets to good use, on a bidding process is going to generate a lot of cash for the government, and maybe that will go on to settle the dues towards the employee, or just generate all this cash. Now, if this can come well, then I think the government can go to the next stage, where they can use the surplus land available with the national textile corporations, because we know the national textile corporations have mills all over the country, and all of them are prime real estate now, because earlier they were on the outskirts of the city. Now the city has expanded and grown around them, and such mass chunks of land is available predominantly in the national textile corporation. So this could be a precursor to what could happen over the period of time. The next news which is of significance is that the digital disbursement of loans have jumped 12-fold between 2017 and 20. Now earlier disbursement of all loans was always considered using certain parameters, or like the credibility of the borrower, and then he had to fulfill a lot of the KYC norms and a whole lot of things which should make it easy for the lending institution to check the creditworthiness of the borrower. Now digital disbursements of loan maybe could be using your CIBIL rating, or they have been able to innovatively find ways to evaluate your ability to repay. But the fact that it has jumped to 12 times from 2000 to 2020 in 3 years time is a very clear sign of how disruptive the digital technology is with respect to fintech companies. It could be a lending company, or it could be an investment company, or it just could be an insurance distribution company. And the second piece of information is of very great interest is 1 in 5 withdrew from their 1 in 5 of the contributors withdrew from their EPF account. Now it's my personal perspective that it could be either because of the COVID onset, or as I always believe that there could be a lot of people who withdrew from their EPF, which is their PF, their pension planning, and started investing in stock markets. The next development is something that can have a far-reaching social impact, is that Union Cabinet has approved mobile links to 7,300 uncovered villages. Now, why it can have a far-reaching impact is because today we know that a lot of education happens through remote, and there is a lot of meetings happen remote. But education is more significant, because there could be a lot of schools which are still not opened up, or there could be schools in the far-flung areas where getting a good teacher to go and stay there could be a challenge. Now, using technology as a medium to impart education on even remote location can be a game changer. It could be a great leveler, and for that you need mobile connectivity, so that the data is provided to those places. So just approving another 7,300 uncovered villages could actually open up a whole lot of opportunities, both from education as well as employment. The next very important aspect on the national side is that ethanol blending in petrol has helped India save around 9,580 crores. So in the last episode of the India Shining series, we had discussed about how doping, which is basically blending ethanol to petrol or diesel, could help India reduce its import bill, at the same time provide additional income to farmers, because ethanol is basically taken out of sugarcane or any one of the food products which are basically fermented to take the ethanol out of it. And now, just this year, in the period between 1st December 2020 to 14th November 2021, Indian Oil, IOC, BPCL, and HPCL sold close to 3,672 crore liters of ethanol blended petrol. So the 9,580 crores is just the saving out of ethanol blended petrol. Now the government has already very clearly set the sight on increasing the ethanol blending from 10 to 20%. Countries like Brazil have been able to have a much higher blend of ethanol, and this money that's been saved is also the money that has not gone out of the country. Viewers, stay tuned. There's a little bit more to come from the news of great relevance to India, which could have a positive impact on India. So till such time we come up with the next part of the 13th episode of India Shining series. Stay healthy, stay happy, and thank you so much for spreading this positive news around. We always look forward to be able to bring you much more positive news. Thank you so much.